There are 5 primary properties on which all the tattoo machines are built upon: the power, the speed, the give, the stroke length, and the duty. Let's start with the first one, the power. Now, the tattoo machines require power to run, and it comes from a power supply unit specially optimized for tattooing process. It is measured in volts or hertz, and to understand it simply, the higher the power, the faster the machine runs, and lower the power, slower the machine will run. Let's look into the second property, the speed. Now, the speed determines the revolutions or the number of cycles it makes in 1 second, and it is denoted as CPS, that is cycles per second. Or in some power units, it is hertz. Again, in simple words, it is about how many times the needle hits the skin in 1 second. Now let's look into the next property, the give. The give is about the hit or the impact of the tattoo needle on the skin. It defines the softness or the hardness of the hit of the needle. It is a very similar mechanism to the car or the bike suspensions, where the spring resists pushback from the road, which softens the hit of the bump. To help you understand it better, I have made these needles with springs. Now, these are not the needles which you get in as a tattoo equipment. It is just for illustration and to explain you in a better way, I have created this. Now, one is the soft and the other one is the hard. So see how the spring affects the needle impact on the skin. As you can see, the softer spring has a lot of give, and so it is softer on skin, while the harder spring is rigid and strong, and so the needle impact is hard. Now let's look at the next property, stroke length. Now, the stroke length is about how much the needle protrudes off the tip from its rest position. It is the length of the full oscillation of the needle, as you see here, from point A to point B. Now, various stroke lengths are used as per the desired outcome. So some will use different stroke length for lining and some will use different for shading. So we'll get into those details later in this class. Now let's look at the last property, the duty. The duty determines the balance between the time spent by the needle on the extreme ends while it is in action. It is about the ratio of how much time the needle stays inside the skin to the time spent outside. Or rather, I should say the ratio of how much time the needle spends on the bottom half of its cycle to the top half. A duty cycle is denoted or it is measured in percentage. Now let me show you how the duty changes the motion and the impact of the needle on the skin. I have again created few needles with springs. Let's start with the first example. This spring has 50% duty, that is the ratio is 50-50, 50 on the top, 50 on the bottom. It spends equal amount of time on both the extreme ends. Now let's add another needle with 80% duty, that is the ratio of 20:80. Now can you see the difference? You can see it clearly, right? It spends very little time at the bottom and more time at the top compared to the other one, compared to the one which has 50% duty. Now let's look at the third example with the 20% duty. So in this case, the ratio is going to be 80:20. This one spends more time at the bottom than the top. This property plays a very important role while tuning a coil machine, or for that matter, to test your new machine if it is good enough or not.